You didn't fall behind because you weren't good enough. You fell behind because you refused to change. Everyone else upgraded. You called it cheating, but they called it survival. And somewhere along the way, the game kept going without you. This shard is buried in Night City's sports feeds. It's easy to miss. And they don't announce it as cheating. They call it an upgrade. Night City Stadium lights burn the same as they always do. Crowds cheer the same way they always have. The scoreboard still tells the same simple story. You either win or you lose. But something underneath the game has shifted. See, 7 players are carried off the field in one night. The trauma team helicopters replace the halftime music. The crowd doesn't leave. They just wait. And not because they're cruel, but because this is still a competition. And competition doesn't stop just because the costs go up. And the San Diego Corsairs are a pro football team in Night City, one of the first to embrace military-grade cyberware on the field. They didn't break the rules. They just found the edges before anyone else bothered to look. 'Cause see, military-grade cyberware is not illegal. It's just available, especially if you're sponsored by the right corporation, if you're willing to sign the right contracts, and if you accept that performance comes first and consequences arrive later. And the rival team, the Shredders, oh, they complain. Analysts argue. Fans are split into camps. And some say the game is being ruined. And others say this is how progress has always worked. And quietly, without ceremony, the league just keeps playing. Because once the upgrades exist, not using it stops looking like integrity and starts looking like negligence. And at first, nobody forces anyone's hand. That's the important part. No one says you must replace your body to stay relevant. They just show you the scoreboard. They just show you the injuries. They just show you the contracts that don't get renewed. And suddenly the question isn't whether it's fair. It's whether you can afford not to adapt. 'Cause you don't wake up wanting to change yourself. You wake up wanting to stay. Stay competitive. Stay employed. Stay visible. You just tell yourself it's temporary. That it's just one enhancement. That everybody else already crossed the line anyway. And the crowd still cheers. And see, this is where the pressure tightens. Because the moment cyberware enters the field, the game stops being about skill alone. It becomes about escalation. Because one upgrade demands another. One record sets the new baseline. And one victory rewrites what normal looks like. And once the baseline moves, everyone below it becomes obsolete. Quietly, politely, and officially. Nobody calls it corrosion. They call it evolution. And you call it opportunity. And here's the part that does not feel like fiction anymore. Because this is not just about football, or Night City, or implants under the skin. This is about the moment when opting out starts costing more than giving in. The moment where refusing stops being noble and starts being interpreted as weakness. You don't get punished for saying no. You just stop getting picked. And then one day you realize something real uncomfortable. That you didn't change because you believed in it. You changed because standing still became impossible. And that's the moment. The quiet one. The one where you recognize yourself. The meeting you didn't push back in. The standard you accepted because that's just how it is now. the compromise you made because everyone else already had. You didn't agree with it. You just adapted. You call it professionalism, but I call it math, and it all adds up. So back on the field, the injuries pile up. The trauma team keeps flying, sponsors keep smiling, and viewership doesn't drop. And nobody really asks when the game stopped being about play and started being about survival. Because once performance becomes the only language that matters, everything else, safety, fairness, restraint, it all turns into background noise. And it's not outlawed, it's just ignored. This shard does not tell you whether cyberware is right or wrong, and it doesn't need to. It shows you something quieter, how systems don't demand obedience, they reward compatibility. How progress doesn't announce itself when it becomes mandatory. It just keeps moving until you're running to keep up. And how the most dangerous moment isn't when the rules change. It's when you realize that you've already adjusted without ever deciding to. So the game keeps going. The lights stay on. And somewhere between the first upgrade and the last stretcher lifted into the air, you stop asking whether this is what you wanted. Because the only question left is whether you can afford to stop.